Hey everybody, and welcome back to my top 100 board games of all time. We're finally in the top half of the list, and today we'll be talking through games 50 up to number 41. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer, and if you use the link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. Additionally, check out my new game THALAMUS that will be available in 2025. But let's get started on the games. At number 50, I have Acropolis. So one of the biggest climbers, climbing up from number 92 last year. This has been a consistent hit for me and my gaming group. I regularly get it to the table because it is so easy to explain, but still offers so many cool decisions as you are drafting these tiles and building up this big cityscape, trying to score these different coloured tiles in different ways, even building them on multiple levels to multiply that scoring. I love the idea of everything being so scarce and those multiplier tiles just needing to, you need to get them before the other players do. But in order to get the tiles that you want, you need to be making sure you have enough stones so that you can skip over the tiles that you do not want. This is kind of tile placement almost perfected, especially being so approachable into that kind of gateway level audience, but still offers so much even for the most seasoned of gamers. And I cannot wait to see what the expansion holds in store for Acropolis. At number 49, I have a new entry with Carson City. So this is one of those Euros from yesteryear that I've always been itching to play but never managed to do so, and now I have my own copy. I could not be more happy. This is a fairly straightforward worker placement game where you are building up this communal city, Carson City, with banks and schools and churches and houses and so on. And you're trying to make as much money as you can. But the twist on this game is that you are cowboys and you can actually choose to rob other players' locations and steal their money. You can even fight over worker placement spots, so that if you place your worker that's not secure because someone might go in there and challenge you to a duel, you can invest in making your firepower better so that you're more likely to win these duels. And I just love the layers of gameplay here because it kind of bleeds that Ameritrashy dice rolling with Euro mechanisms so well, because there are so many things you have control over, like initiative order, the player powers that you're drafting each round, and managing your money, building up this infrastructure that you can keep on building new buildings out there and trying to place them in the optimal position for you. A great city building game, but with the idea that mixed with the interaction and the worker placement, this is just a fantastic design, so thematic yet still so mechanically sound. So that is Carson City at number 49. At number 48, I have Seven Wonders Duel, a great two-player drafting game, of course, a variation on the original Seven Wonders. This one, I love the drafting system as you have all the cards kind of overlaying each other, and you can only draft the ones on the extremities, but when you do, it's going to reveal the cards beneath it. And of course, new opportunities are always popping up. So many different kind of fronts that you're fighting on here, so not only do you have to worry about victory points, you also need to worry about your military strength, because if you ignore that, people can just invade you and you'll instantly lose. Also worrying about science and so on. So this one, yeah, a great two-player game with so many decisions thrown at you in around half an hour playtime. Good expansions as well if you want to inject more life into the game. And this is considered one of the best two-player games for good reason. So that is Seven Wonders Duel at number 48. At number 47, I have Goa. So this is one of Rudiger Dorn's earlier games. It's an auction game with kind of some resource management. The bidding mechanism in this game is fascinating, as you have this big grid of tiles, and then you and your opponents are going to plan this route on which tiles will be available for auction this round. And These tiles are going to do things such as giving you resources, or these plantations to hold resources. They're going to give you these pilgrims, which you can use to settle different locations. And it's all about trying to get resources in order to improve your player board and score more points as you go, but again, improving your engine as you go at the same time. A real throwback beige style Euro that I think is probably going to get reprinted soon, because it's a crying shame that this game isn't more widely available, because it is a fantastic midweight Euro with a unique bidding mechanism. And there are so many auction and bidding games out there. It's quite rare that a game manages to do it differently like Goa does. So that is Goa at number 47. At number 46, I have Rise. So a fairly modern game, actually. And this is a game all about climbing tracks. So, I love climbing tracks in board games. It's one of my favourite things, or parts of Euro games in particular. And this game is all about that. And I love the way that all of these tracks interact with each other. And it kind of feels like a wider scope, or a grand take on a roll and write style game, even though there's no dice in this game. You're drafting the action you want to take, choosing the action you want to take, and then you're going to climb the relevant tracks, but climbing this track might let you climb this track, which might let you climb this track. So they're all climbing, all kind of ping-ponging off each other, and you can end up taking these huge, satisfying turns. Each track does a different thing, and it's a bit of a sensation overload when there's a lot of things going on, but it's always so enjoyable, and the fun factor is sky high for a Euro game like this. So that is Rise at number 46. At number 45, I have Patterns, which is the second game from the Mandala series of two-player only games. This one is a more traditionally abstract strategy game, as you are trying to manipulate this board of tokens, trying to put the same colours next to each other. If you do that, the first set you collect is worth 1 point each, the second set is 2 points each, the third set 3 points each, and so on. So it does retain that original Mandala scoring system, which was my favourite thing about it. But it manages to be a completely different game in its own right, and always new opportunities springing up. That real desire to do everything at once shines through, and you need to prioritise each action very meticulously. A very cerebral game, but one that is so rich in its gameplay and lightning fast as well. You can play a game of this in around 15 minutes, but it's not a throwaway 15 minutes. Every decision matters here, and it is such a crunchy little game that's, I was not expecting this game to be as good as the original, and it is easily as good. So that is Mandala Patterns, or Patterns, a Mandala game, at number 45. At number 44, I have Marakesh by Stefan Feld. Now, this is certainly one of Feld's heavier game, and it's one of those games of the bunch of mini games variety. In this one, you have this Keshi system. We're going to choose the actions that you want to take. Take Keshis, which are these little tokens of those colours, put them in this huge cube tower, and then draft them to increase the strength of the different actions you can potentially take. You're climbing tracks, you're collecting special powers, you are fighting off these threats and so on, and all the things you'd expect from Feld here, but there's a lot going on. But I do like the way that you have to very efficiently plan your actions. You can be a jack of all trades and try to be reasonably strong in all the different areas, or you can try to completely tunnel vision on one particular area, and when you take that action you can be extremely strong. So again, this is a game that's going to give you so much replayability, because you simply cannot do everything each time you play it. You're only going to scratch the surface each time, but I love it, and each time I play it I like it more than the last, especially because some of those rough edges when it comes to the rules become a bit more digestible, and you become more familiar with the game, meaning that you can enjoy the puzzle more than the mechanisms themselves. So that is Marakesh at number 44. At number 43, I have Biblios, one of the most iconic and classic card games out there. A game of two halves, where the first half you are kind of distributing cards out between yourself, the other players, but also building up a communal pile. And then the second half of the game, you're going to be using money cards you've acquired to buy the cards in the middle. You're trying to collect sets of different colours cards and have the majority of the cards matching the most valuable dice values that are going to be manipulated by different players. Super interactive. I love the kind of clandestine nature of this one, where you're not quite sure how well the other players are doing. You know, you can have a good idea that you're doing well, but when it comes to the big reveal, you might be way behind. And I love the idea of, you don't really know how well you're doing until the very end, meaning that you are constantly engaged throughout. It's an absolute classic, one of the best card games ever made for sure. That is Biblios at number 43. At number 42, I have Aquasphere, so another Feld game here, and this is Feld's take on the programming mechanism, as you have to very carefully plan which actions that you're going to take. And what you're trying to do is you're moving around these the sci-fi board and trying to fight off these octopods and scoring points, collecting multiples of different sets of things, competing in area majority as you take actions in different locations, and even building up a bit of an engine as well. But again, I do love the meticulous planning into this one, as all your actions are laid out in front of you and you have to plan your route accordingly to what's going to suit you best. Also, one of the coolest scoring systems, as you need to have a particular resource in order to progress further on the score track. So that is Aquasphere at number 42. And the final game on this portion of the video, at number 41, I have Forenz. So Forenz, a classic Euro by Andreas Stelling, all about building towers and trying to fulfill these commissions. I love this incentive building mechanism, as you are taking blocks and these cards hand in hand. Now, the cards can give you positive things, but they can also give you quite negative things, such as powers or points. And I love this idea. In order to get to the cards that you want, you need to place these building blocks to skip past the cards that you don't want. And of course, the really bad cards start to go towards the beginning of the track, meaning that it starts to stockpile a ton of resources on it. And eventually there's a time where you think, you know what, I'm going to take that whole bunch of roof tiles. Yes, I might get a bad card for it, but it was worth it. And then what you're doing is you're trying to build up these towers, spending more bricks the more you build, and then trying to again fulfill these commissions based on the heights before the other players do, to score victory points. I love the way this is kind of a one mechanism game. It kind of really does focus on that shifting card mechanism, which I love. One of my favorite mechanisms for sure. That is Forenz at number 41. So there we have it. That concludes another portion of my top 100. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel and check out my other content too. But for everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye-bye.